We are joined today by Ryan Panhorst, Franchise Development Manager by day, Tournament Director
by Vegas.
By Vegas time.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, Ryan. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you.
Good.
How are you guys?
We
doing
are
great,
good.
Ryan. Doing great. Getting ready for Vegas, you know.
Been waiting for you guys to ask me to be on this.
Well, now's the time.
Looking forward to chatting with you guys here.
What better time than Vegas time, right?
Right. Exactly. A couple weeks away.
Yeah. So why don't you start by telling us how you got selected to be a tournament director?
Well,
drew the
like
short
most.
straw. He drew the short straw.
He drew the short straw.
Well, I started from the ground up, worked my way up through the rankings basically. It didn't take very long, mind you, because as people exited, I was able to go ahead and fill that void. But I worked my way up from a floor manager, and then obviously the next step is a tournament director. But I tell you what, the floor managers, I've got major respect for those guys. The amount of walking and steps they put in throughout a day or throughout the entire event is unbelievable. Got a lot of respect for those guys. Being a tournament director, you don't have to spend as much time walking around and doing the lapses like they do, like the referees and stuff. So that it's kind of nice being a tournament director, not have to do that anymore. But yeah.
How long have you been a tournament director now?
Oh boy. I guess it's probably been close to 8 years now.
8 years.
Oh wow.
And once you're a tournament director, you're like a tournament director for life. It's like working on the Dutton Ranch, right? You get branded,
you're not really getting out of it.
Tournament director, and then there's no turning back.
Yeah, you're not getting out of it now.
But the other thing is you're pretty accomplished. Like you're a little modest there. Like you're a pretty solid player, right? Pool player. You've also been a league operator for years. You were a league operator here in the St. Louis APA. So you've got some other credentials, I would say, that go along with becoming a tournament director, right?
Sure.
Don't be so modest here on the Pool Player Podcast. We want to,
Well, I don't consider myself. I consider myself a pool player, but I don't consider myself one of the higher level players per se. Now I know all the rules and all that stuff. I'm a skill level 6 and 9 ball, but I'm not necessarily the best pool player, right? I didn't get into this to be a pool player, though. I get a lot out of being a part of the community that the APA builds. And that's what I get most enjoyment out of, really. So.
Yeah, I got you. So what is a day in the life of an APA tournament director during a Las Vegas tournament? There's hundreds of thousands of dollars at stake. What's a day in the life like for you in Vegas? Like, what are you doing? When does the day start? When does it end? When does it get crazy? When is it more chill?
Sure. Well, I can tell you to start off, for me, I work the night shift, right? So by the time I come on my very first shift, there's already been some play happening. So my first thing to do is basically go talk with all the referees, the floor managers, the other tournament directors that were on the previous shift, see if there's anything that might have come up from skill level movements to sportsmanship complaints, stuff like that, right? Then once we go through all of that, I will go over to my tournament room, which is the pavilion, the middle room, and I will get with all of our floor managers over there. We will check the boards in the back room behind the curtains to see, again, if there's any skill level movement or sportsmanship things in my room. And basically, it's on from there. I will basically just walk around, talk to the players, kind of get to know them a little bit. I will go back and forth between the pavilion and the mini mania room, just make sure everything runs smooth. So.
Yeah, and so for people that like maybe don't know our events as well as obviously the three of us do, like there's different levels. You've got referees, right, which are basically our members that have volunteered, generally higher skilled members that know the rules really well. They come out to work. They're the ones making the calls during the matches. They're assigned like a certain section of tables. And then you've got they kind of report to the floor managers, who you've referenced several times here. Now, the floor managers are typically all league operators, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And they're kind of like your next level up from the referees. So if like a referee makes a ruling and there's an issue with the ruling, or maybe it's incorrect, that's when a floor manager gets involved. And then you're overseeing a group of floor managers. So like you're next up on the chain of command there, right?
Right. Yeah. So when it comes to like making calls and stuff like that, it's actually pretty easy for a tournament director, honestly, because obviously the first step is going to go through the referees, and then if the referee can't answer the players' issues, then the next step would be the floor manager. And our floor managers are great; they're absolutely fantastic. They know the rules up and down. And besides that point, the referees have the rule book. So by the time I get over there to any call, generally they've already been told what the ruling's going to be. I'm just there to confirm it, right? So all the dirty work's done by the refs and the floor managers. So I've got it pretty easy, or we've got it pretty easy, all of us tournament directors. So in my opinion, anyways.
You say you have it pretty easy, but what would you say is one of the most challenging parts of being a tournament director? I mean, I would have to guess that there's got to be some pretty stressful parts.
Yeah, what's
of that
keeping
job,
you
right?
up at night at the Westgate? So, I mean, there's got to be something about being a tournament director that ends up being a high stress part of the job.
Well, I mean, anytime you get multiple skill level movements on a team, it's not a good thing. Anytime teams have watches on their score sheets that go out there, they know they're being looked at for one reason or another, and just trying to convey them, to let them know, like, look, guys, play to win, and everything will work itself out regardless. It's all about fairness to the players, and that's what we preach. So I think the most difficult thing is conveying to the players that regardless of the answer that you're getting, ultimately we want to be fair to you and each and everybody else in this tournament. So you might not get what you necessarily want to hear out of whatever issue you're having. You might not get that answer, but just know that it's with us trying to make it fair for everybody, right?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting too. You were talking about how you have to like communicate with the other tournament directors and the floor managers, because you said what do you work? You work the night shift, is that right?
Yeah.
So you start like what, 5 o'clock at night kind of thing, and you're working till the wee hours of the morning?
The rounds are done for that day. Yep.
Yeah, so you're kind of becoming a night owl when you go to Vegas, which I'm sure is a challenge to get back on track when you come home. But anyway, back to my point, which was the communication. You've got to talk to the people that are there in the morning too, because the players play across the board. It's not like the players only play in your shift over and over and over. So you've got to be able to kind of have some communication and know about, hey, were there some issues here? Were there some issues there? What was going on? So it's kind of interesting how you guys have to be able to communicate that back and forth across the tournament field, for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And that's what I was trying to get at earlier when I was talking about the boards. Each one of those shifts, if they have something come up, they'll write something on the board. So we all know in advance, because like you said, those rounds don't stop. You may be playing back-to-back rounds, and it may come on a shift change for us here, for the staff. So we just need to make sure that we're all on top of everything. That's kind of one of the ways that we are able to manage that, because you might be in the main room or the big tournament room for one match, and you might be in the pavilion in my room, in the middle room, the next match. So it's very important that we all communicate and stay on track. So
now, working the night shift, that's got to be kind of interesting sometimes. Do you have any interesting stories that you remember that are safe to tell us?
Yeah, spill the tea, but it's got to be PG and clean,
Well, I've got several stories, some that stick out that I can't really say, but there is one that I tend to tell quite often when people ask me that same question. And I think it was back in I want to say 2021. I might be wrong on the dates, but it was a team. It was a championship round. And I was in the championship room, and at the time we didn't have the big setup. We were kind of. It was on the beginning of our streaming when we started doing all the streaming, so the setup wasn't the same. And I would sit down behind the players and kind of keep score. Well, this team, I think the team name was K9, and it was a 9-ball match, and it was a hill match, and it was, I believe she was a 2 or a 3. I think her name was Kara. Actually, we used a lot of her photos for some of our marketing after this match. But anyway, she was a 2 or a 3, and I was sitting behind her taking score, and she was so nervous, just scared to death. Getting under those lights can be just, it can wreak havoc on your anxiety, right? So this girl was sitting in front of me. I'm keeping score for the match, and every single time her heart beat, her ponytail would do this, boop, boop, boop. And I just remember thinking, like, how is she going to get through this match? She was able to take those nerves and put into a great pool match, and she ended up winning. And I'll just never forget that. Just sitting behind her, and every time her heart beat, her ponytail would kind of beat. It was pretty neat.
That's interesting. You remember that?
Yeah. So I mean, I remember it because as soon as she won, she jumped up and gave me a great big hug, and it was pretty neat. Pretty neat experience.
That's really cool.
Nice. Well, are you how you feeling? We're about a couple weeks out here now. Are you mentally in the zone? Are you ready to do this again? It's a long 7-8 days, right? It's like a marathon. Are you ready for it?
I am so ready to go. I am ready to get out of Dodge. If I'm going to be honest with you, I could probably live there. So okay. I am good with going to Vegas.
All right. Well, we'll talk to the bosses about leaving you out there after the trip and see if you can just
I don't know how they feel
wait
about
for us
not
to
having
come
him
back
here,
out in
though.
August.
He's good. I don't know how they feel about not having him here to do his job, but
all right, Ryan. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join us and kind of just telling folks a little bit about what you do and kind of how you guys handle things. Always good to kind of educate people on how the process works while we're out there, and because I know it takes a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes a whole lot of people, a lot of volunteers, a lot of staff.
Kind of an untold story.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work. So now we know your story, and we're appreciative of you, and hopefully everybody else will be too.
I appreciate you guys having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, all right, Ryan. Thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Take care, buddy.
Thanks, Becky.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.